I want to show you a little bit of algebra as applied practically. And in this case, it will be with VBA and building a macro. And I'll jump right into it. Notice how I am at column A, B, C, D, E, F. These columns are hidden. And also focus on these numbers here, the 3 and the 21. Incidentally, if I plug in 21 here at column AE7, it will show me U1. Let me zoom in. I'm doing this with the keyboard and the little window and the plus sign. So you can see at AE5, if I plug in 21 here, because it's referencing AE6 and 7, this is a row, this is a column. It returns back the corresponding letter to the column. So if I plug in 22, click enter, it will give me V. And you see that it's row 1. If I change this to a 2, you'll see it changes to V2. And here is the code or the function in Excel. What I'm trying to do is show you what is a variable and why is a variable important when we're making these calculations in algebra. Why be interested in variables? Well, it's because if you change something, it changes everything else around it. So here I've hidden some columns. I will click on hide, and here the columns are hidden. To quickly run code, now I'm hitting the window and zooming out with a minus sign. I'm in the developer tab up here. I click macros top left, and I know my code is hide columns, unhide columns. So say these buttons are hiding from me. I can come up here, again, developer, macros. I'll show you again, developer, macros, and then I can find hide columns in this case, click run, or I can go again, macros, unhide, and click run to the top right. So if your buttons are ever missing, that's how we can update things. Let's go ahead and start looking at the variables. What I'm going to do is, you notice the numbers here to the left of my mouse. You see how they're moving, 14, 15. Zoom in again. See how these numbers, you see 6C, that shows me that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6C, just to give you an idea. Zoom out again. So what I'm going to do is move these in closer, and I'll get rid of some of these. Right click, delete, and then try and run my calc again. And try and run my macro again. So I'll do hide, but it's giving me a problem. Now the reason it's giving me a problem is because I just moved these numbers over, and these numbers are the variables. These are what drive which columns to hide. So I'll click end, and I'll come up here to macros, click hide columns, click step into, and here's what they call VBA code. Now notice here I've declared, I've brought something into existence. I've brought apples and bananas into existence. An apple and a banana in this case is a variable. So this guy is pulling in from V1 and the banana is pulling in from V2. I'll get back to V1 and V2 because if you recall, I just moved everything. So I just moved these guys to L instead of V. You see that? But what I want to first draw your attention to is range, cells, and banana over here. What this is doing effectively is taking from cell row 1 down and columns across, and cell row 1 down and columns across. So it's doing something like, and mind you, the apple and the banana, again, these guys are variables in algebra. So what I'm trying to do with this code, and this is really the action, and these are the things inside the action. These are what drive the action. I am basically telling it do this, or I can even tell it do this, or I can tell it do this. And it's done with this command. This is how I tell it the location and the cells. One row down, and right now I'm just focusing on columns, apples and bananas. And to show you that these things are all interconnected, and first of all, let me fix it, because what I'm saying to it, I'll come up here to the code, click F8 on your keyboard, and basically what you're doing is running through script. See, apple is at 0 right now, banana is at 0, and then I come over here and I tell it, I want you to find this location and select. So I come over here and it doesn't like it. Let's do debug. It even tells me the line it doesn't like. And you can see that apple is 0 and banana is 0. Click F8 again. Application defined or object defined error. So it's saying this object, whatever I'm supposed to select, is confusing me. The reason it's confused is because apple and banana are 0. The reason they're 0 is because I have the variables in L1 and L2. This is looking for them in V1 and V2. So I'm going to go ahead and do L1 for apple, L2 for banana. I'm going to click up here, save. It's best practice to then debug, compile VBA project. If you have an error, it would pop up, but in this case, we don't. What I just did is left click so I can toggle, and then I'm going to hit F8, F8 on the keyboard, F8 on the keyboard, and now you see I'm pulling in 3 and I'm pulling in 21, which corresponds with my numbers here, 3 and 21. Now again, what is 3? Plug it in here to the right, that's C. What is 21? That's U. I don't want it to hide all of this, so I'm going to ask it to hide through N. I am just clicking this cell and click enter, and you notice how this changed. Now let me click this cell and click enter. You notice how this is changing? This is another code in Excel, and it gives you positioning, and this is it. Cell/column. So every time I click on a column anywhere in the book, it will tell me. So for instance, this is V4. Let me do Control G and go to AA4. Let's do Control G, AA4, and click enter. And you see how it went to AA4. Now I'm going to do Control G, AZ4. Notice the number here at V4 is 16. I'm going to click AZ4 because I'd like to see what column that corresponds with. I'm going to come here, click enter, and you see this changed to 52. all of these are variables and positions and locations, and that's what I wanted to show you. Why in algebra would we be interested in a variable? Well, it's because when you change one piece of a calculation, that changes a lot of other pieces. Now I've hidden my columns here. Oh, no, I haven't. Let's come back. So I'll do a hide. Close out of VBA because I know it works. So I'm gonna X out. This command will stop the debugger. Okay. I'll click hide. Get rid of my toggle point too. Now I'll click hide and make sure I get rid of the toggle point. Close out of the VBA window at the bottom. And you see now it's working. Since my buttons are hidden, I will go up to developer, to macro, unhide, click run. Let's debug. Here's another way of writing the script. As you can see here, my variables, I have declared them. I'm saying pull from V1, V2. Well, I changed my columns to L1 and L2. I can say I changed my variables from here, from V to L. Now it's X1. Instead of using an apple and a banana, I'm calling it X1 and X2. And you can see here it's the same logic where it's locating the range, selecting, and in this particular case, the selection is being not hidden, hidden false. Up here, it was hidden true. So basically, the entire exercise is to hide and unhide columns based off of variables, based off of commands for which columns to hide. So let's stop, save, up here, debug. I think this may have already updated. Let's just save it and close out. Come up here, macros, unhide columns, and I'm going to click run and see this time around it worked because these are my variables at column L1 and L2, and previously they were around column V. Well, I hope this gets you a little bit more excited about algebra and to future lessons.